It was the fear of death that day is something that I never thought I will experience in my life. I made peace with the fact that those are my final moments, and I was hugging my mom and saying goodbye words, and luckily we managed to survive, unlike many others. Later we were evacuated, and now we still cannot go back to our houses because 60% of the houses in Iroz were completely burned.
I live right next door. One of the hostages, which is Naama Levy, which was a young girl of 19 years old, which has now been held hostage for over a year. There's proof, there's evidence that what she's been going through, the sexual abuse. She was the girl who was on the video, where they were dragging her out of the jeep.
A first-hand account of what transpired on October 7th in Israel. Here in Johannesburg, the South African Jewish Board of Deputies hosted an exhibition, and the call is clear that the hostages who are still abducted must be released.
Israel at the moment is being pursued on 7 borders by 7 countries. It's a very scary place, as you can imagine. A few days ago, the entire Israel was sitting in bomb shelters when the Iranians were sending hundreds of missiles into Israel. It's a scary place to be. But a ceasefire can't come about until the hostages are released. No government, every government in the world has got a responsibility to its citizens.
For many of us, we are connected to people who are there, people who died, people who are being held hostage, people who are living there now, who you get messages that we're running for shelter, we're running for cover, we have nowhere to go, we have nowhere to live. And just because we're so far away here in the southernmost tip of Africa doesn't mean that we're not connected to what's going on.
While Hamas says October 7th was inevitable as the situation worsened in the Middle East.
He
says October 7th was a natural reaction in light of all these facts and dimensions after the Palestinian people reached the brink of the explosion. History did not begin on October 7th, but rather it was the station, a circumstance, and the boiling states forced our people to move towards the flood. Yes, today, as you mentioned, there are great losses, the martyrs, the wounded and the displaced in Gaza, the daily killing in the West Bank, the killing today in Lebanon and the massacres, and Israel is striking everywhere. This flood, October 7th, revealed the artless face of the Zionist entity. Michelle Feather says the conflict has been brutal. He also says the world is realizing today that the Israeli leadership, and especially Netanyahu, is fighting a battle with Lebanon and Hezbollah that is part of the preparation to strike the Iranian nuclear project. This has become more clear these days. Even it was already known in the past, therefore it may appear that the Israeli aggression comes with direct reasons at the moment, but is based on a known Israeli vision, an agenda for removing any danger that faces it and eliminating the factors of strength, resistance and opposition within the region so that it can extend its influence and complete control. The conflict in the Middle East continues to be a cause for concern for global peace, and many countries have called for a permanent ceasefire. Khayelihle Khumalo, SABC News.